The biggest thing that I don't like about the Godzilla and Kong movie is that. What's up, guys? We are Past Pop Culture. My name is Ricky with my co-host here, Mr. Fenn.
Hello.
Today, we're going to be doing kind of like a dual review, but more like a little bit of a compare and contrast because I like old movies, and then we've been watching newer stuff, of course, and we've been kind of feeling like, it's been a little lame what's been out in the cinemas, but there's some good stuff coming out. But we're going to be talking about the new Godzilla X Kong movie. I'm not going to say the whole title, but Godzilla X Kong. And then we're going to be talking about the original Godzilla. That one was pretty interesting. I saw the American version and the Japanese version of it. Mm-hmm. So there are two versions of it. The first one came out in 1954, and then I don't know when the American version came out after that. Idea. But yeah, the original one. We're talking about the original one where he's in the little suit. And, yeah. Anyway, so we're going to be going right into it. So, of course, I mean, spoilers talk, right? Hopefully you've seen the original Godzilla.
You've seen a movie in 1954, right? How old are you?
Yeah, so yeah, you've had time to see at least that one. But again, with the Godzilla X Kong movie, that one's a little bit. We're going to be going into some spoiler territory, talking about major plot points. So if you haven't seen it, what do you think about just like giving a review off the top of your head, like
of the new one?
Of the new one,
I would say go see it. It's on par with the other two movies. It's fun. Make sure your speakers are working at your movie theater, and you don't like fun if you don't like the movie. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that. Watch it. I gave it like on fun meter. Well, I'm gonna be pretending the audio was fine. I'm gonna say like a 9 out of 10.
I think it was okay. I would have liked to see more fighting. That was something that I was a little disappointed in, and we'll get right into that because honestly, yeah, I was disappointed with the new movie. I have my big gripe with it, and I think a lot of people will probably agree with that one. But again, we're gonna be talking about the original Godzilla because I feel like there's some things that they just should be drawing from, and instead, but I don't know. We'll go into it. I think it's okay. I'd give it like I give it a 6. I give it a 6. But a 6 is usually like it's watchable for me at least.
Yeah, his Ricky scale is completely different from the rest of the world. Just keep that in mind.
Like a 5 is okay. Like 5 to 6 is okay.
5 isn't bad. It's more than average.
It's middle ground. It's just like you can watch it, you don't. 6 is like it's still good enough to go watch. Especially if you see it on like discount or something like that. Like it's worth to go see it in the movie theater just so that you got the big noise and everything. But I think, I want to talk about the new movie first because that one I have a lot of stuff to say, and then I'm just going to kind of be like, I guess just praising the original movie. So I think this one's a little bit more controversial, and so it'll be a little more interesting to get off first. But I did not care about the people. I did not care. I hate that so much. Where it's like, I like Godzilla when it's him destroying things. People are scared. They're dying. There's terror, and that's why I like the original one because like you just had people crying and freaking out. I like when they're going up the little hill and they see him. He's like peeking over, right? And then he's like
with his stupid googly eyes, just like one's this way, now one's that way.
And then it's like what the heck? And then they're all running, and then like. Okay, yes, it's from 1954, so there's some things clearly, right, that, can be improved. But talking straight about the new one, bro, when they were, like, destroying the buildings, I'm like, what about all the people that were in there? They just totally skipped over that, and I don't like that. That kind of bothered me where it felt like the destruction didn't really feel like massive, even though they were like in the center of the earth and having these battles going back and forth. The only time throughout the movie where they kind of felt some impact of people were dying was when they were like doing the Egypt and they had like that little pyramid fight.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That one was kind of cool. But again, like I felt like they tried so hard to get the fights away from the people so they don't have to see all the people fighting, right? They fight on the beach and they just totally, after a while, they just totally ignored all the people dying. They were just like, he literally just grabs a building and chucks it. I'm like,
There's probably no people in there.
1,000 people probably just died right there. And they're just like, oh, okay. And that's where I feel like the modern movies kind of fail me. Right there. And that's where the modern movies fail me, where it's just like, and granted, like, of course, I haven't seen all the Godzilla movies and yada yada, but it's like the last few, I felt like there's been a bit of a quality drop. I feel like because I did like the first Godzilla movie. King Kong was like okay for me. I can't, to be honest, I can't like remember the full movie if you quoted it to me, but I thought it was okay. I did like that King Kong was the main character of this. I did enjoy that.
Okay.
But again, monkey, right? So that's kind of like my bias right there. Yeah. Like it's a monkey with like a mecha fist. So it's like, how can you not like it? And he's carrying an axe.
Like, what do you think about that? Like how they're just like, let's just make him half a mecha.
Yeah. So they really were starting to go more into sci-fi. And I do understand like Godzilla can get a bit goofy, right? And that's fine.
Which
like,
I love that.
But I feel like, again, with this movie, it's like they can't like, they're trying to straddle the line. They're trying to like walk the tightrope, but I think it's like they just fail. They keep falling off on either side. And it's like I don't think you can cut the middle ground, because if you just want to go Godzilla is destroying things, right? And this is terror. This is some sort of metaphor for, you know, nuclear bombs or whatever it is, right? Then that's fine. But I feel like they try to just lighten the movie too much. And again, they keep going. That the biggest thing that I don't like about the Godzilla and Kong movie is that they just got to add that Marvel humor into it. And it's like, stop. Don't add the Marvel humor into it.
They did that every single movie.
I know, but it's just like they do it because it appeals to the lowest common denominator. I'm not a huge like Godzilla fan where it's like I'm going to be up in arms, but I just hate in general how like just movies in general have like developed this like need, this like addiction to being like, oh, we got to add some Marvel comedy in here.
Yeah.
And I just don't like it, because it's just like, just show the movie. Just like, you don't have to be like, funny quip. Okay. Isn't that funny, guys? The thing that I said. And then like, you know, like literally they stop and do that so many times. And it's just like, please, like it can be funny. There was like some funny scenes in there, but like sometimes it's just like, gosh, dude, there's this cool giant monkey and this cool giant lizard. Let's just do a joke real quick. Like, let's just show that more, right? And that's where I think it kind of failed, for me at least, is that, and it seemed like some people were saying that, like, like, this whole, like, Monsterverse thing has kind of been, like, 50-50. Because there's some really cool scenes and there's some really fun stuff. Yeah. And, like, the movie is fun, but it's just, like, sometimes I feel like it just slows down showing the people too much. And and then it's like they slow it down just to do, like, those quips. And I'm just like, guys. Like, I like the whole idea. They're in, like, okay, we're going to, like, you know, the center of the earth. There's, like, cool stuff here. Oh, let's explore this. And it's, like, there's, like, weird animals and stuff. But it's, like, but we got to stop for that Marvel joke. And that's the thing that always pisses me off about these movies.
So I know we don't like the Marvel humor, but, like, when they give, like, King Kong a personality, like, are you okay with that?
I'm fine with him having a personality. And I think that was a smart move, because then, how do I word it? You kind of just end up with like, oh, this is happening, and then you don't have like character motivation. And then I like the fact that it's like, hey, I got my little guy here. Oh, there's these oppressed people. I'm gonna free them, right? Like, it gets you to care about King Kong, where otherwise, if they wouldn't have given him personality or like character development, I think a lot of people would have kind of been like turned off from the movie. Okay. I would have been fine with him just being like monkey and like throwing everything around and destroying things.
Throwing that kid across the world.
Yeah, but like I think I would have been fine with just the destruction and mayhem, and I think a lot of people would have too. But I think, I think it was a fine thing to do. I think it was a good thing, because again, you got to appeal to a lot of people, but again, I think that's where it's been their detriment still. Though. But I'm fine with it. I think they handled it well in general, and like you were rooting for him throughout the movie. And so I think that was a good thing. But again, I think they had to tone down what they were doing, because when you just threw a building, it's like, well, you can't be a good guy if you just like mass murder.
Like 3,000
Yeah.
people.
So I do think like, well, maybe I take it back then. Maybe it's like, maybe it wasn't a good thing giving him that personality development, because having him be a good guy still doing bad things might be a little too complicated.
Well, because it kind of shows that he cares about humans.
Yeah.
King Kong, at least.
Well, he cares about the little girl, at least. Right? But I don't know. Like, maybe I do take it back then. Maybe it is something that I have to be like, maybe it wasn't a good thing. Because, like, I want to say it's good, because I think it developed his character enough for people to care about him. But they kind of had to tone things back, just because it's like, well, we can't have a good guy killing everybody, right? Like, all the humans on the ground.
I guess in defense, you can say maybe he cares about his own
species,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
I almost said
I
people,
guess, but
monkeys,
yeah, like
whatever.
yeah. In terms, I honestly, Godzilla kind of took a back seat though to this movie.
Yeah, I didn't like
I mean,
that.
it should have been like Kong X Godzilla, not Godzilla
Or
X
just
Kong.
Kong 2 or Kong New
Yeah,
Kingdom.
yeah. Like I did feel like Godzilla wasn't
He was like a side character, but he's
in
supposed
his
to
own
be like the
movie.
main character in like this whole entire universe.
Yes, and I think I honestly think a little bit that they had to add Godzilla just so that they can kind of justify the movie, just so that like people
Yeah.
would be more likely to watch it. Because you see, like, because when they did fight, it was pretty good. I did enjoy that movie, right? In this one, it did feel like okay, they had their little fight, and then they're just like, okay, we're gonna team up now, and then we're gonna beat the other guys, and that was a good fight.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I do feel like Godzilla was a side character in his own movie. And I think it was just more like a marketing thing just to get them more people to show up.
I mean, it worked.
Yeah, because you have Godzilla, people are going to be like, oh, Godzilla, that's kind of cool. Let's go see it. So it makes sense like to put him like as prominent as possible. But
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I am biased towards any Godzilla thing because like that's this household's favorite like franchise, I guess. And so the reason like I don't really care about like what happens in the movie is just because it's supposed to be Godzilla. Like I'm not gonna look too much into it, but in terms of like them having a weird fixation on like focusing on like the human like relationships and like the stupid humor, and it's like, well, we gotta like have these, this kid has to be poor and his mom, the podcast guy. It's like, and it's like, I think for a Godzilla movie, you shouldn't really put so much focus on humans.
But you see, here's another thing, and I'll glaze the original Godzilla movie here, but with the new movie, they do all this stuff to get you to kind of care and to kind of like deliver like this little message like family or whatever, right? And it's not very nuanced, right? It's very shallow. But
It's like
1954, right? It was like there's the detriments of the like the H bomb. We need to figure out like, hey, is this like a good moral thing that happened? I don't think so. We're reeling from the effects of World War II and the H bomb. This is not a good thing. Nuclear warfare, nuclear bomb development is not a good thing. And I felt like, again, the movie, if you watch the Japanese one, it was more heavy-handed. The American version wasn't as heavy-handed.
because I haven't seen the American one.
I was talking to one of my friends, and I was like, in the American version, they weren't as heavy-handed about the nuclear bomb.
I wonder why.
But yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, in the Japanese one, they were just like, nuclear bombs are wrong. I mean, they didn't deliver it like that, but they were very heavy-handed. Like,
but it's like,
they were just like, yes, there are major ramifications for the development of nuclear weapons that we as humans are not capable of fully understanding and dealing with. And it's like, that's what Godzilla is. And I enjoyed that aspect. And it was like, even now, it's still like a good message, I guess, but more like it's not shallow. The new movies are kind of shallow and
but see, like in terms of that, like I think all of them are pretty much all shallow. Like I think we've even said like, yeah, they're all shallow. Like why are they doing humans? And it's like, I think what the new movie should be doing, and like they do somewhat well, is just focus on Godzilla destroying stuff, fighting, blah blah blah. Like that's all they should really focus on, because that like
I think Godzilla is like gets stuck where he tries to be too many things at once.
Yeah.
He's trying to talk about, well, there has been ramifications about the development of nuclear warfare, or Japan dealing with natural disaster, or how the world reacts to certain events, right? Like that's what Godzilla can encapsulate. Then there's also like, let's just get wacky with it and do crazy stuff. And then there's where kind of like where Monsterverse is like, well, we kind of want to tell like a family friendly story still.
No.
And like that's where I kind of feel like where it's like part of his essence is a little lost in this movie. I feel like it just didn't. He just kind of swam around. There was cool fights, but they should have. I think the Monsterverse should just go, here's cool fights. You want to see these people fight?
Exactly.
You want to see these monsters, these kaijus fight? Here, we'll fight. And I think they should just focus on that. I don't think doing the whole family route and all this stuff is like, just show cool fight scenes. And the thing is, like, I do have to say, like, what'd you think of the CGI, though?
In the new one, it didn't bother me too much. I don't think I really... How do I say this? It looked Like
it was serviceable.
It was good, but for whatever this is gonna be really. It looked fake. I know that sounds really weird, but like
a giant lizard.
Yeah,
and
I
a
know that
giant
sounds so
monkey.
weird, but it just
Yeah.
sometimes when CGI is like, you can either have it like done so well that it looks like realistic, but for some reason, I mean, this is really
because the
weird.
last movie when they had that final fight, I think it was better choreographed.
Yeah,
and it looked better,
yeah,
like the breath and everything, and
yeah. I mean, like the fights, like Godzilla, he was fighting, underwater against Tiamat. Is that how you say it?
I don't know. You just lost everybody.
Yeah, my bad. The thing underwater, like when he becomes pink, like I would have kind of wished they showed that more. But I don't know. Like King Kong or Kong looked really good, but it's just like I think all the Kong movies are more about people, and then Godzilla should kind of be like about I'm gonna fight the monsters. I'm gonna fight Kong.
Mm-hmm.
But then I guess since they combined both of them, maybe that's why they kind of have like humans.
Yeah,
And
and that's where it's like they tried slicing it 50-50.
Because
like
I think the first Godzilla movie was only Godzilla. Or no, did they have 2 Godzilla movies and then a Kong movie? I could be misremembering.
Yeah, I don't remember
that.
how it went, but like I said, it's just you just want to see things fighting, right?
Like
And
yeah,
it's
if it has
either-
the word Godzilla in it, I don't care about anything else except for him going roar and just
But
destroying
you didn't get a
things.
lot of that in this movie, and that's where I
Exactly.
feel like it kind of failed. It's just like you
Exactly.
didn't get a lot of that. I'm fine with making Kong a more prominent character, and I think he did well in carrying the movie. But again, it was like they gave him a cool arm, but I don't feel like they fully utilized a lot of the fights, and they kind of had to tone things down, like the
I mean,
destruction.
they're fighting in like anti-gravity, like that was kind of weird.
You didn't like that? Actually, yeah, I want to see it. Drop a comment if you like the whole anti-gravity, like.
It was, I don't know. That just
Fight.
kind of threw me for a curve. I'm just like, why? Like, oh yeah, we gotta change the gravity so everything's floating and they're jumping off rocks. I was like, I'm not watching Dragon Ball Z. I'm watching, Godzilla and Kong. Well, because they're like jumping off the rocks and then they're like,
Yeah,
I mean, at the same
feel
time,
like,
it's cool.
Yeah, like they were starting to get a bit fantastical with it for
But see-
Godzilla. Even
But
like,
see, like
like
go full
the
on,
arm,
go full
yeah.
on that. Like King Kong mecha arm, like let's do it.
yeah, like I'm fine with the whole
and that's also
decked
a
out,
complaint.
like, and you got like the whole like what titanium tooth or whatever.
yeah,
it was, or,
and
I
like,
don't
oh,
even know
he's
if
not a monkey
titanium,
now
but
or
yeah.
whatever. But like insane, like exactly. But like Godzilla got a new power, and he only showed it like what once,
Yeah,
and it's like the concept artist for that. I don't know if you read this, but the concept art for like how he made it like all pink and all is based on Goku's Kaioken.
Oh, really? That's
And so when I
interesting.
read that, I'm like, well, they should have showed like 1,000 times more of that, like not just 1 or 2 scenes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like he was powering up the whole movie, but he didn't feel more powerful.
Yeah.
He didn't destroy
He's
more.
raw.
Right? Like, I mean, he did destroy stuff, but again, it didn't have the same like, I like visceral like.
That's what I'm saying.
like,
that he didn't really. Did he
reaction to
really
it?
destroy anything in this movie?
They destroyed stuff. It was there
A
the
pyramid?
destruction, but it just didn't feel like he was destroying things. And so the reason why I wanted to talk about like Godzilla in 1954 because I feel like okay, like kind of comparing the old movie to the newest one, right? I think that's an interesting comparison because we've come pretty far, right, from the 50s to now, and I decided like let's just only talk about the classic. Like singular one, right? Because then if we start doing the whole thing and we start going by eras and this and that, and then
That's too hard.
it's So we're like, let's just keep it simple here. But review for 1954 Japanese version. We'll just stick with that one.
Okay.
What do you think? What do you like? What do you rate
so
it?
I do have a very strong opinion on this.
Okay.
But how do I say this? It is based because have you seen Godzilla -1?
I didn't get to see it yet.
Okay. So Godzilla -1, I know this is kind of a tangent, but Godzilla -1 is like the greatest Godzilla movie, period. But I didn't realize it was the greatest movie, period, until I saw Godzilla 1954. Because
Okay.
Godzilla 1954 and that one are made by the same company, but they pay like an insane amount of homage to 1954 to the point where it's like not frame by frame, but the concept, the like what happens in 1954 and that one are like extremely similar, and that made me appreciate 1954 like times 100.
You see, and I think it's kind of hard because I was like, how do we frame this right? And I think honestly, we should just let the Japanese keep making the movies. I don't
I was
know.
about to
Maybe
say
we
that.
shouldn't be handling it.
Because like in 1954 comparing to the new one, like yeah, they had like humans, but it's like again, it had more emotion and there was a point to them. And I feel like in the new movies, there's literally no point to the humans. Like I think we even said this on the past podcast. If you take out the humans, it's the same movie. So it's like, why have them in the new movies when 1954 and -1, there was a point to them. It added like so much emotion. I know like 1954, it's kind of hard to be like, oh, sad, but because it looks like it's from 1954, but it's just like
I actually like the model sets. I think that looked better.
It was funny because it's like old, but like I really enjoyed that it's all practical.
Yes.
And it's like, yes, they're toys, whatever, but it's still...
They're models, not toys.
Sorry.
Models. I know. I want to...
Yeah, you're right. No, but it's like...
They're action figures, Mom.
It's like I could turn my mind off and I could be like, man, that... Like, especially
it felt
back
more
then...
real, I think, doing it this way.
Yeah, and it's like, I think the Godzilla, like, it's a man in the suit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could be wrong on that, but it's just like, you can kind of tell. But
yeah,
like, even then, it's like, it has more emotion to him, smacking a toy train than Godzilla and Kong... destroying that building with 1,000 people.
That's what I enjoyed about the original movie, because there was a heavy weight to every consequence to everything that was happening. It was like you got to see the death and destruction. You got to see like people dealing with the fact that, hey, we're missing people. We can't recover them. We're dying. What's going on, right? And of course, again, this is all supposed to reflect the nuclear bomb, right?
Yeah.
And so, of course, like I keep mentioning, and I mentioned earlier, right? It's very heavy-handed with it, but I still think it approached it very well. Especially, like, granted, like this is just like not very long after World War II. A lot of the actors were probably around to like.
It was also on the same island.
And so it's like they probably, well, not to say they're probably around, because like if they're old enough, then yeah, like not maybe the little kids. They showed like the babies, but yeah, most of those adults, they probably lived through the World War II era, and so it was interesting to see that lens of like how the movie was kind of them like coping with the nuclear bomb. And that's kind of like just the whole message of the movie. And I think that was very interesting. And yeah, like sure, it's just like model sets and it's them running around on an island and it's a guy in a suit. But I felt like it had heart in it compared.
Well, that's what and I don't know why, but
yeah, like I'm not sure if this is me just like, oh, it's old, so it's good. Like,
no.
oh, the Japanese made it, so it's cool. It's like Japan, and you've seen that meme where it's like Japan, and then it's like,
but at the same time, like Godzilla, well, that just defends the case. But Godzilla -1 is Japanese as well.
Yeah.
But like that one's like eons better than this, so it's like why?
I think it's just how they handle the material more with respect. I feel like the Monsterverse is kind of like, Like, so, I think it's just been so hit and miss for everybody. Is the Monsterverse is like, because I remember I think we did like the review years ago, and we're like, oh, okay, this is gonna be cool. We're getting our Monsterverse, and then now we're like, okay, like we're getting.
Well, because the first one didn't really harp on humans, and it was just like Godzilla being Godzilla, and it's like, choose your lane. Like you're either gonna try to attempt to do what the Japanese are doing with like the heart and like the purpose of like everything, or you're just gonna go smash. Like you can't do both, and that's why like 1954 and -1 are just like I would pick those. I would pick 1954 over any new Godzilla movie. Really? From when they are like came back and like to the future.
Interesting. Like, yeah, because there is this one thing in Godzilla 1954 that I really liked, and then I was always pooping on it. Way Marvel handles their CGI, right? Like I'm always like, nah, dude. Like when they're talking about the whole oxygen bomb and everything, and the scene with the fish, that's like my favorite scene in the whole movie, and that's like one of my favorite in general. And because in that flashback, you actually get to see what happened, right? Because she's like screaming, like, what did she just see, right? Yeah, and the acting's amazing, but. That one I really enjoyed because that was like a practical thing. They I don't know how they did it. I'd be very interested to know. But they you can kind of see like it kind of cut. And I was sitting them like, dang, like 50 plus years later, they just showed up Marvel. Yeah, that was like a way ahead of its time. Like just effect. It's like a practical effect. I can't say like CGI or like CGI. Visual effect. I don't know what to like call it, but I was genuinely impressed the first time I saw that, and I like replayed that, and I was like, dang, that's actually really well done. And if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
It's
where he drops the thing in, and then the fish start like disintegrating, and I was like, what the heck is this, man?
That's
that
all
was,
real.
Yeah.
You could do that in your no.
Yeah,
Don't do it in your backyard.
Well, there goes the whole video. But yeah, no, I thought that was like the single most impressive thing out of the entire movie was just that scene alone, and I think it's worth watching just for that scene because it was like that was like really amazing to do practically, right? And there's other instances of old movies being able to do cool practical effects like that, and I think it's because it's like, well, you can't just digitally do it. Like sometimes they would have to like physically probably do something to the film. I'm imagining they do stuff like that, but like that was like, okay, yeah, they just pooped on Marvel right then and there. They pooped on a lot of the Marvel movies.
And it's funny to say that because that movie's far from perfect, and like there's some weird jump cuts. I don't know if you noticed that. Like, I think actually in that same scene when they're in like the laboratory or whatever.
Yeah, she's like doing something,
and then she just cuts, and then
she's like walking
standing,
away.
And I'm just like, okay, so it's but again, 1954.
Again, I think it's like I'm willing to give it a lot more of the benefit of the doubt just because it's an older movie. It was the first, and it was a lot of the first for a lot of things, right? And now it's like, okay, the franchise, the whole everything is pretty mature now, and it's just like, okay, like what are we doing here, guys?
No, I don't like minus. We're not. You haven't seen -1, but like I think they should go the route of -1 because that's more towards like the 1954 and like probably all those movies. And that one's like, like they show Godzilla enough, but like every time you see him, you're like, oh shoot, right? And then like in Godzilla and Kong, you're just like, oh hi Godzilla, it's like
he's
just like
really terrified.
I mean, it was cute when he was sleeping in the Coliseum, like but like at the same time, it's like
this is Godzilla.
This is Godzilla, guys. Like yes,
but
I would love a Godzilla sleeping.
Him more of a good guy, and I don't know. I kind of like him when Godzilla's bad. I like it when he's supposed to represent natural disaster and the nuclear bomb.
Yeah, and he's supposed to be like the savior of like our Earth, right?
Yeah, and it's like it's fine, like if that's like your thing. But I kind of like him when he's just destroying stuff and he's not a good dude. And
it shouldn't be obvious. I feel like in the movie it's obvious that he's supposed to be the guy, the protector, and everything. That's why he's like, oh, Kong's here, I gotta go get him. Or like whenever a Titan comes out, it's like, oh, I gotta go fight him. We know he's supposed to be the protector, whatever. Like don't shove him. Like. It's like what Marvel does. They shove things in our face, and it's
they're like, okay, maybe you guys are too dumb to understand this.
Yeah, and it's like he's like, I'm not that stupid. Like, come on now. It's like
I got 2 brain cells left.
Yeah, it's like they're clicking. You don't have to tell me. And it's just like, come on. But that's why like 1954 and like all the old ones are just as cheesy and weird as they look. It's just like that's good cinema. Like it's
just a good movie.
I just freaking love it.
I've seen it like 2 or 3 times. Like,
well, okay, so but see, like 1954, like we were like laughing because it's just like, oh my gosh, like when the train like crashes into him, it's just like the whole train set just like push, and it's like obviously you're gonna laugh at that, but like the music holds up, and like I am a big like music guy, and when I was watching 1954, I recognized the Godzilla song. And again, I won't sing it because I'm a beautiful voice, but like, and then that's why I keep like mentioning -1 because it had like the same music, and it's like when they play that song, Godzilla's coming, and I mean 1954 they had the weird like stomping, which I don't know how you can stomp in the ocean. I don't know, maybe do you know why? But like scientists out there, can you like stuff like that's weird, but it's just like I like how the music. Even in 1954, it's like, here's the music, Godzilla's coming. Everyone freak out.
Yeah.
And like in the new movies, it was just cool music, but nobody was freaking out. They're petting King Kong. It's like, come on, guys.
The main thing that I liked too was, man, dude, the scientist. I liked his fit, man. The fit went hard, dude.
I mean,
like the coat, the hair, the eye patch, and everything. Dude.
I thought he was a bat. I mean,
kind of. Yeah. He made something that can like take out all of like Tokyo Bay, right? But man, with the eye patch and all that stuff, dude, I was like, dang, my man can dress. And then what was her name? Like,
oh shoot, I don't remember.
Makio or like the girl.
Like his sister or whatever.
Well, she's like, oh, I view him like as a brother kind of thing.
Oh,
but she wanted to be with the other guy.
Yeah, that was
and
weird.
Like that was the only thing that was like, dang, man. Even in 1954, you can't trust no one.
Yeah, that was okay. I'm gonna ask that question. So the scientist, was that just like a childhood friend?
I think it was, and I think she was supposed to get married with him or
Because
something.
I mean, that's like very anime. Like I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
But
But then but she's like, oh no, I actually want to be with the other guy, and I was just like, that was my main thing. I was like, I'm just like.
But see, it's like you can look over that because everything else is like okay.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's really good. It has a purpose. You're scared. Godzilla's here with the goofy eyes and peeking over.
Because you can tell like everything is a set. Like everything on there is a set.
love that.
And it's like, but it's still cool. I like it. It felt you could still watch the movie, and I wouldn't say the movie was fun. People were dying, but hey,
that's still fun.
It was an enjoyable watch, and that's the thing. It's like, oh, this is cool. Yeah. This is like if you watch it from the historic view, like lens, I should say more. If you're watching through historical lens, and it's like, okay, it's really easy to appreciate. Even without it, I still think it's a good movie. And then I like the modern ones, kind of like, okay. And when I say modern, it's like the whole Monsterverse, and I think that's something that clarifies more. It's like the whole Monsterverse is just kind of like been meh to me at this point, where it's just like, if they make another movie, I'm definitely gonna go watch it. I want to start watching all the older movies to kind of understand how everything led up to this, but just to kind of like, hey, let's kind of dip our toes in the water. Let's see the first one, and then let's see the new one, and kind of do like a little combo review and talk about it and what we think. And yeah, I kind of like the old stuff more.
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
really
I'm gonna go ahead and say that this new stuff has nothing. Like it can't even hold a candle to 1954 or any of those other ones, because holy cow, like.
And I do know it gets goofy later on.
I know, because I think I've seen some other ones, and it's like, yeah, it's obviously funny, but it's like it's still it's more entertaining. And it's like, I'm a sucker for practical effects, and it's just Godzilla being Godzilla. Yeah, they have the weird fights, but like in the new movies, they can't decide. Like once they decide, if they decide to go whatever, then that's fine. But like right now, it's not worth it.
Because the new movie didn't do well, so it got, I don't know how much money it made, but I do know it's got like a 55% or something. It's in the 50s right now. It probably went lower from the last time that I checked, but most people just like. The audience seemed to like it, but the critics didn't really like it. But even then, the people that liked it, they're like, yeah, it's like, it's a Godzilla.
It's a hard to not, and that's why, like, they need to get their ish together, because it's like people are just gonna like it. Of course, they're gonna watch it because they know it's gonna be a decent movie. But it's like the reason -1, that had the heart, and like the critics loved it, the audience loved it. Everybody wants more of that, compared to, Godzilla and Kong or whatever it's called. They're just like, I guess we'll wait for the next one. So it's like, come on, guys, let's start going this way towards, -1, and it kind of just
I think the Monsterverse should just kind of like
let them go to sleep.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of what it is. Like if they keep doing it, they keep doing it.
Or take out Kong. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. He's
all
ruining
right. Well, let us know what you guys think down in the comment section. Should the Monsterverse keep continuing? Should they just, I don't know, like keep putting out these movies? This sometimes okay, sometimes good movies. I really don't know, but let me know what you guys thought about it. What do you guys like more? Do you guys like the Godzilla 1954, or do you kind of like more the, I guess, modern Monsterverse movies that have been coming out? Let us know in the comments. If you guys could just drop a follow, a like, and subscribe. If you follow us on @PastPopCulture, pretty much everything. Check out the Twitch, twitch.tv/PastPopCulture. And that's it for today, guys. Thanks.
Bye.